That's the issue. I could have stopped him. It's me. Definitely my fault. Definitely my fault.
I'm gonna do me regardless. I told him leave his mom's and, the people home, he still brought them. It's crazy, man. It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad, man. But, it's all love.
Devon Davis recently got into another heated exchange with Lamont on social media, insisting that he should have won the fight and that the only reason the Reaper came out on top was because he let it happen. This opinion has sparked a lot of controversy. Not only did Lamont Roach respond, but many fans and boxing experts also jumped in, with some even arguing that Lamont Roach would have won regardless of the knockdown.
Everything you learn, I definitely could have. That was on me too. That was on me for sure. Cause I ain't pick it up when I supposed to pick it up, and I could have definitely did more. He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy like super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow, and I could have took advantage of the moment. But
many people believe Lamont Roach actually won the fight, especially when you factor in the knockdown. They feel he was robbed because all the judges gave Devon Davis the 9th round. If the judges had been paying closer attention, Lamont might have easily been disqualified or penalized. However, after Devon Davis made his comment claiming Lamont only won because he allowed it, some have gone even further, arguing that Tank didn't deserve the win, even with the knockdown being overlooked.
I was boxing too much in the beginning, and when I felt like he was slow, it was just relate down the line type of thing.
Many believe that Roach Jr. and his team have a strong case to get the decision overturned if they choose to appeal. However, despite Roach making a case to have the knockdown overturned, his requests were denied. He shared a series of posts on X, starting with one where he said, "You're tweaking if you think Buddy had an off night or something. That's not it with me. I told y'all from the beginning, just because I feel like I won doesn't mean I'm saying he was easy work. The knockdown gives me the win." He later followed up, saying, "I took care of that in the ring. Y'all are about to make me come for you with this bias. I know he's your guy, but just let it go. I'm not suing anyone, I'm just trying to get the knockdown that they robbed me of properly recognized. Get it right, man, report that."
What you talking about? He like, "Now ain't gonna give it to you." I was like, "Oh, is that right?" So, that's how boxing works. It's sad to say, that's how boxing works. I'm not like totally upset. I figured with a superstar, you won't get too much on paper.
When someone pointed out that overturning the knockdown would lead to a split decision win for Roach Jr. instead of a unanimous one, Roach quickly responded. He explained, "The guy who scored the fight for Tank gave him that round. If the knockdown counts as 10-8 my way, that's a 3-point swing, so I would have won that card too. Go back to your cave, casual." Roach Jr. is correct in saying that if the knockdown had been overturned, it would have given him a unanimous decision, not a split decision win. But regardless of the outcome, he'd likely be satisfied either way. The big takeaway from the Davis-Roach fight wasn't that Tank was exposed or had a poor performance. Instead, it was clear that Roach fought brilliantly, showing the right level of skill and strategy to make Davis struggle throughout the fight.
Think about what happened in the 9th round. How frustrated are you that wasn't counted as a knockdown?
Man.
That's not to say Tank doesn't deserve some criticism for his performance. Many have pointed out his tendency to start slow and be too conservative with his punches, which almost cost him in this fight. Some even believe this could have resulted in a draw on his record. His actions in the 9th round also raised eyebrows, thinking he could take a knee to call for a timeout and even asking his corner to wipe grease from his eyes, essentially trying to get special treatment from his trainer, Willis. This behavior certainly deserves its share of criticism. But when it comes down to it, Roach deserves more credit than Tank deserves criticism. Roach went up against a top-tier counterpuncher in Davis and outperformed him at his own game. He answered nearly every one of Tank's left hooks with a right hand, never falling for Tank's traps or feints. Instead, Roach patiently set his own traps and executed a smart, well-thought-out game plan.
I damn sure thought I had it, especially when they announced the score for him. I was like, oh, they gonna give me a split decision win. I was like, oh, yeah. Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted a knockdown. Look, I ain't the ref. I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had the wipes.
When Roach engaged in exchanges, he did so just long enough to show Davis he meant business, then quickly backed out, refusing to stay in the pocket too long. He must have a hell of a chin because, even though his defense, anticipation, and counterpunching limited how many clean shots he took, he still got hit square on the jaw a few times. Despite that, he made it to the end of the fight, hearing the scores read, something most of Tank's opponents can't say. That a lot of people in the boxing world initially saw this as a one-sided mismatch, but there were also more knowledgeable observers recognizing Roach as a legitimate challenger who could be competitive. Still, I didn't see anyone picking Roach to be the one to end Tank's undefeated streak.
He had the white shot out his eye, but the rules do state if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic 8 count. But it is what it is. I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there. I think I was taking control. I think I was landing more shots. I think I was landing more power.
The outcome of this fight serves as a reminder that superstars should take the biggest challenges they can when the opportunity arises. Sometimes, those seemingly easy bouts can end up being the ones that come back to haunt you. However, any damage to Davis's reputation can be quickly repaired. All he needs to do is sign up for an immediate rematch with Roach and secure a win next time. The post-fight press conference, Davis hinted at a bigger fight coming up first, though he didn't specify what it was. Some speculated it could be a fight against Shakur Stevenson. For the sake of argument, let's say that's exactly what Team Davis has in mind. Unfortunately, after this performance, that fight just lost a lot of its appeal.
But as soon as I heard that 114, I was just like, damn, alright, it's over with it. So, yeah, man, it's just crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it's okay. We gonna run it back. It's okay. But if that was kind of a knockdown, I would win the majority decision.
Yeah, Lamont, this is Matt from...
A fight like Tank vs Shakur, which would be built as potentially determining the best American boxer under 30, can't afford to have one of them coming off a fight that most people think he deserved to lose. Davis needs that Roach rematch, even though winning it won't be easy, to build up interest in future fights with Stevenson and other top-tier opponents. A draw on Davis's record isn't a huge blow to his marketability, but the perception that he was second best in his last fight is. He needs to erase that feeling by securing another win, one where he's clearly the better fighter, before moving on to bigger challenges.
I don't know, did y'all see me in the ring tell him to keep counting? he started counting. I was like, why you stop? Like, keep counting. But I honestly don't know. I don't know. But
Davis versus Roach 2 needs to happen, and it should happen next. The fight should take place in a location where Davis's fans from Baltimore and Roach's fans from DC can come together, creating an electric atmosphere. It also needs to be somewhere where New York's Willis, usually a solid referee, won't be on the commission's list at AS for Tank Davis, the once bright star who was hailed as the next big thing after Floyd Mayweather. He now faces the toughest challenge of his career, battling his inner demons and coming back from a position he's never been in before.
The fight, yeah, just didn't do enough work. I thought that Roach's game plan was.
Davis entered the fight as a huge favorite, with many expecting him to secure his 29th career knockout by stopping Roach, who was making his debut at lightweight. Backed by a pro-Davis crowd, Tank failed to deliver the usual knockout finish his fans had come to expect. Instead, Roach stood his ground, taking everything Davis threw at him and firing back with punches that not only stunned Davis but shocked the entire crowd. Davis, known for his patience, started off slow in the early rounds, waiting for Roach to make a mistake he could capitalize on. But Roach refused to give Davis the chance to counter and take control of the action. Early in the fight, Davis smiled and even talked to Roach, but soon realized he had to get serious when it became clear that his opponent wasn't going to fold under the pressure. Roach, at 29, had faced Davis before in the amateurs and had come up short, but this time he wasn't backing down.
Ain't nobody scared of nobody. It's all about the bread at the end of the day. In the perfect world, if I can have it, how I want to have it, thank God Lamont Roach made a name for 135 division because we needed somebody. But let's be real. So now we got a new person. Thank God. So now we got Lamont Roach. If I can have it my way,
trying to bait, but Roach was just really patient. Roach was patient, bro. He was tight, he was patient, and he wasn't really rushing in. And every now and then he'll make a mistake. He'll like probably like lunge a little bit or reach with the right hand, and then he got countered. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't give a whole lot of, and it made me really think like.
Their careers took different paths after turning pro. Davis quickly rose to become one of boxing's biggest stars, while Roach earned a reputation as a solid fighter, though he fell short in his only world championship opportunity, losing to Jamal Herring for the WBO super featherweight title in 2019. Davis's rise to superstardom was solidified with his knockout victory over Ryan Garcia in 2023, where he claimed to be the face of boxing. However, he nearly let that title slip away with an underwhelming performance. Their shared history might have given Davis a false sense of confidence going into the fight, but Roach was fully prepared for everything Tank had to offer, including his famous fight-ending power. By the middle rounds, Davis's smile faded as he realized the knockout he expected wouldn't come easily. The champion started to let his hands go, trying to create openings, but Roach stood firm, catching him with counters and combinations. Davis focused almost entirely on attacking the body, relentlessly banging away while Roach stayed on the front foot, pushing forward without hesitation. Roach found moments to land a counter whenever Davis's attack stalled. In round 8, Roach stunned Davis with a counter right hand. Although Davis was never in real danger, the punch made it clear that he couldn't just rush in recklessly. Realizing the fight could be slipping away, Davis, 30, stepped up the pressure in the championship rounds. While he landed some powerful shots, he never came close to hurting Roach. However, his increased activity in the later rounds earned him the final 2 rounds on all 3 scorecards, salvaging a draw and allowing him to leave New York with the title. Davis landed 103 of 279 punches in a very measured performance, while Roach was more active, connecting with 112 of 400 punches.
It was a great event. Great event. It was a great fight. They put in a fantastic performance. Both of them did, for real. Both of them really did put in a fantastic performance. It was a great fight, all that good stuff. It was a draw. At the end of the day, people are unsatisfied. I feel like, I always keep.
Davis's performance has left some boxing fans questioning whether he's still at the peak of his abilities. Former 2-weight world champion Pauli Malignaggi has now shared his thoughts ahead of the proposed rematch. Malignaggi, who knows a thing or two about rematches after defeating both Juan Diaz and Lamont in their second bouts, told ProBox TV that he believes there's a mental issue with Tank. He mentioned that there's been talk behind the scenes for years about something concerning Davis that nobody brings up, which could explain why he's often matched up with 15 to 1 underdogs.
WBC title and defend against him, so I don't know what that's going to bring us. But let's move on to the main event. Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. Certainly, I think the draw controversial, but I think Lamont Roach wins the night. I think his performance wins the night. Here's the thing, though. Lamont Roach was always a solid fighter, solid fundamental, and I'm going to reiterate what I said before. Solid fundamental fighter. Nothing that wows you, though. No crazy speed, no crazy power.
There's a rumor circulating behind the scenes that DVON has a lot of front runner in him, meaning that if you push him, he'll crack and fold under pressure. This talk has been kept private for a while, but it starts to make sense when you consider that Lamont is from the DC area, grew up around Davis, and faced him in the amateurs. That history adds context to why some of this has been kept under wraps. With the relatively limited opposition Davis has faced in his career, Roach knew he didn't need to rush things. He wanted to measure his pressure, gradually bringing it out because he knew that eventually, he'd bring out the real side of Davis as the fight progressed. And as the rounds went on, you could see that happening.
solid fundamental fighter who's been well schooled, well taught, and well balanced. And that's who he was tonight. His center positioning allowed him to catch and shoot in some spots. He had a mentally strong game plan in terms of he was trying to hold ground a lot and sort of back up Gervonta Davis. Davis still, you know, when you really think about it, he ends up fighting a Lamont Roach, who's a 130-pound champion, been a perennial contender for about 10 years, finally won a world title. You bring him up in weight.
Some have interpreted DVON's actions, including his knee-taking moment, as a sign of him trying to bite or avoid pressure, though it wasn't entirely clear. What is clear is that while DVON Davis has tremendous physical talent, he may be mentally vulnerable. To deal with a frontrunner like him, you have to drag him into the late rounds, making him work for every moment, and not take risks too early. Fellow lightweight world champion Kaysen Davis also weighed in on how the Tank vs Roach fight played out, sharing his thoughts on whether he felt Tank was exposed. The performance raised some doubts about Tank's abilities, and now Kaysen has offered his take on the Porterway podcast, discussing whether he believes his lightweight rival was truly exposed in that fight.
The lightweights, tough lightweights that are out there, you go outside the weight class to defend the title and get a smaller guy, which is something that he'd done already before with Garcia a couple of years back. The guy he fought before he fought Ryan Garcia. I don't know, man. You know, I can't keep reiterating how disappointing Gervonta Davis has been as far as the resume is concerned.
I don't think Tank got exposed. I just think Lamont was better than everyone expected him to be, said Kaysen Davis. Lamont can really fight. I thought Tank would knock him out, so he proved me wrong. Lamont is better than we made him out to be, but I don't think Tank was exposed or anything like that. Following Davis's underwhelming performance against Roach, the unbeaten WBO lightweight champion, Kaysen Davis, has now spoken out, claiming he could be the first to defeat Tank if given the chance. Speaking on the Come and Talk to Me podcast, Kaysen said he's always had confidence in his ability to beat Tank, especially after sparring with him. I've always felt that when I really do fight him, it's going to be a little easier than what I projected, just based on knowing myself, my size, and what I bring to the table. I've always felt really confident about getting in the ring with him.
You go my honest opinion, I feel like me and Lamont Roach, stylistically, is the hottest fight in the weight division. Yeah. Lamont Roach stood right there with Gervonta, the hardest puncher in the division, right? Ooh. So put him up against me, I'm not going nowhere.
Y'all really gonna box, man.
We're gonna fight. I feel like stylistically, that's one of the best matchups in the division.
Yeah, it'll be easy. It's not going to be a physical dogfight. It's going to be a chess match, and I'm just smarter than him, Kaysen Davis said, expressing his confidence. If my confidence was at a 9 before the Roach fight, it's still at a 9. Legendary top-ranked CEO Bob Arum also commented on Davis's performance during a conversation with Sean Zid on March 28th. I thought Roach won the fight. It was a close fight, Arum said. I think Davis has to start taking boxing seriously. It's not just a media thing. I don't know the kid, but he seemed sort of ordinary. A rematch between Davis and Roach seemed likely for this summer, but newly crowned WBO lightweight champion Kaysen Davis has his own plans and ideas about what comes next.
I'm gonna go there. When it comes to Shakur and Tank, a lot of people have mentioned that fight. A lot of people say, when I'm arguing with him, going back and forth, they're like, oh, Shakur is ducking. I'm like, I just don't believe that. I don't. Obviously, you're closer to that situation.
Oh, yeah, yep.
You think Shakur's ducking?
Ain't nobody scared of nobody.
Davis told the Danza Project that a fight between him and Roach makes the most sense. Me and Lamont Roach, stylistically, is the hottest fight in the weight division, Davis said. Lamont stood right there with Gervonta, the hardest puncher in the division, so put him up against me. I'm not going anywhere, we're going to fight. Ain't nobody scared of nobody. It's all about the bread at the end of the day. In a perfect world, Davis added, if I could have it my way, thank God to Lamont Roach for making a name in the 135 division because we needed somebody. Let's be real now, we've got a new person. If I get my way, Shakur and Tank should fight, let them do it, and I'll fight Lamont. Don't do the rematch yet, he suggested.
I'm knocking him out, word. I'm knocking him out. I'm not even playing. I'm knocking him out. He countered him crazy. They countered each other, but Lamont, I feel like Lamont won. Let's start there too. I feel like Lamont definitely won. All right. I feel like Lamont Roach won. I definitely feel like Lamont Roach won. But a draw, like...
Davis even took on the role of promoter, suggesting an idea that will likely appeal to many fans. Whatever the outcome between Lamont and I or Shakur and Tank, they can still do the rematch. It's two incredible fights, an incredible fight for Gervonta and another great fight for Lamont, he said. Then, Lamont can still go away and fight Shakur, the Norfolk native added in the interview, and that's all for now. For the best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you're alerted when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.